Is virtually the expert on everything that is Madras. So, and Ashwin of Odyssey. I'm going to let you into a little secret. Odyssey was the first. I'm Anita Siddharth from KREEDA. We revive traditional games of India. And Odyssey was the first retailer to agree to sell our games. And as we begin our 15th year, it gives me great pleasure to be here again in Odyssey. I walked in one day, 15 years ago, into Ashwin's office with 4 boxes. At that time, KREEDA games came packed in square cartons like pizza boxes. And Ashwin looked at me and said, "Pizza?" And I said, "No, I'm trying to revive traditional games." In spite of that, he agreed to sell the games. And I'm happy to be here for 15 years later, relaunching Memories of Madras with Ashwin. No function about Madras city with Mr. Muthiah can be complete without Mr. Muthiah saying a few words about this wonderful city. I grew up in Madras, but it took me a long time to think about making a card game about Madras city. I was reading one of Mr. Muthiah's books, and I traveled across the Adyar Bridge every morning. And I remember reading in his books about how the French and the English fought the battle on the banks of the Adyar. It sounded so romantic. It somehow didn't gel with this image I was seeing every time I drove across the Adyar Bridge. So I started reading more and really started to discover the romance that is part of Madras city. And here's Mr. Muthiah, who really has brought the city alive for many of us. Anything that you want to say, Mr. Muthiah? First we'll hear you. That's the most important thing. If you're more comfortable sitting, please feel free to sit.
Good evening, everyone. Delighted to be here this evening at Odyssey and to find all my books on display. That's the best part of the evening for me. But I'm not that delighted with the signboard up here. To me, we have gone beyond Madras Day.
Madras Week.
We have now Madras Week. And we're not celebrating birthdays. We're celebrating the city. And that's what I think we should be looking at much more seriously. That people must be aware that this is our city. It has contributed so much to modern India. And therefore we must be proud of this city. And I think that's what Madras Week is developing into, to create this pride. And I think we should begin to do more and more, rather than birthdays and all these sort of things. But birthdays was a trigger at that point in time. But we've gone beyond that, and I think we look at Madras Week as something significant. Incidentally, let me give you a bit of the background to this Madras Week idea and how Madras Day came about. Very major organization with members from industry has various panels, and one of the panels they had was tourism panel. And this was some years ago. Vincent and I were both invited to be on the tourist panel, and there was another person, Devi Tyagarajan, was also with us on the panel. And at that time I had suggested at this panel that it's a very high-powered panel, extremely high-powered panel, that they could all get together and use the season from the music season in December to Pongal, a month, and create a Madras festival like the Dubai festival. We very seriously put out the program. We gave them an idea how it would work, and then we said, first year they listened, second year they listened, the third year they said they'll do something, so we said, let's do it very simply. Pick 5 major roads in Madras. I might slip into Colombo occasionally, to forget me if I do. 5 major roads in Madras. And let those roads celebrate by giving discounts on shopping, discounts on food, things like that. Cathedral Road was one, Nungambakam High Road was another. The old East Coast Road at that time. These are 5 or 6 roads we picked. Everybody said, okay. Major players on Nungambakam High Road said they were all keen to do it and they get involved in all these are big boys talking. And at the end of it, only one road did anything. And that was Devi on the East Coast Road. The next year, everybody forgot all about it. But Vincent didn't forget about it. Vincent suddenly turned up at my house. We told them the example should be Madras, Mylapore Festival, Vincent had started a thing. And the next year, Vincent turned up at my house with Sachi Nair, an old colleague of mine. And they came and said, look, these people are never going to celebrate Madras. Let us do something. This was May, I think it was. So I said, all right, let's do something. We'll organize some programs of our own and see how it goes. And then he said, when shall he do it? And automatically my mind came August 22nd, the long weekdays, and that's how his birthday business turned up. I wasn't even thinking about it at that point in time. I just said, August 22nd. Because the time was there between May and August to plan it. And they did a half-day program at the, what is now called the Rajaji Hall. And the program was scheduled from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening. And there was going to be a relative function at 5 o'clock, finish up by 6 o'clock. The show went on till 11 p.m. that night because the crowd could not feed. People had put out exhibitions and things like that. And even after the valedictory function, the people were still going on the exhibition. So we thought, yes, fine, there's something here in it. And the next year it became a full day celebration. And since then it's had a life of its own. What is significant about it is it's purely voluntary celebration. We don't organize anything, we are not organizers, we don't call ourselves organizers, we don't have a committee, we don't have presidents, vice presidents, people contesting for vice presidents and so on and so forth. We don't have any of these things. We are quite happy meeting once and saying, Madras week from such and such a date, having a press conference to announce the date, having another press conference when people send in programs, and when people like KREEDA done a whole lot of programs, we are the happiest people around. Because it's not merely one program that we like people to do much more. I've for years been recommending that apartment blocks can themselves have a program. I know 2 or 3 apartment blocks which have had Madras Week programs and such. And all the apartment blocks and gated colonies coming up in Madras, these are people who begin to do their own celebration. Not wait to be driven by anybody. I think that I hope is what is going to happen in the years to come. This year I may estimate there will be at least 200 programs. Wow. During the week, the core of it at the present moment. And this is not counting what schools are doing. Most schools are either participating in competitions, quizzes and things, plus they are doing a lot of things, and this year I am very happy. Colleges have begun to come into it. So it's getting into a life of its own and being driven by people. Now it's time for people like Vinta to drive others. She's done a great job with KREEDA. I know nothing about children's games. I know nothing about adult games. My passion is sport. And though I have a grandson who's a chess champion in the US, but other than that I know nothing about all these board games and things like that. But I'm quite happy with looking at the Olympic games. So, all the best with KREEDA. I can't say much about it, but I understand it's a great success. And what I'm interested in is the fact that so many people in today's day and age are beginning to get interested in the past and the games of the past. And let me tell you, as I see it, your best market will be the US. The Indians, the NRI Indian, in the West and not wanting to come back here. He's obsessed with his historic past. Right? I know my own community, the US, is far more Chettiya than I am Chettiya. And more Chettiya customs are followed there by the US Chettiyas than any of us here follow. So, quickly do a trip of the US and pick up your agents and you'll be making a fortune out of it. That's my advice to you today. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Mr. Vincent, it would be a great pleasure to have you here, please. Can you? Anything happening about Madras, we can't give you all.
You can't be sitting at the back.
I thought it was because of the vacant chair.
Would you like to say something on the occasion?
What's the occasion?
Madras.
We are using a card game based on
Called Memories of Madras.
Okay. So, I don't play cards. That all that we are interested with, and we are interested. Anything you do on the city is welcome, and so all of us have ideas. I like the idea. Ashwin and me have been friends for a long time, although I'm coming back to Odyssey after. So there's going to be a little. It's going to rain tonight. But I like the idea that it comes from the heart, and not everyone will put the books up and showcase your own people. We're all selfish people, right? The fact that someone takes picks up the idea, he did it in a small way last year, but this year, and now he is making people compete. Someone wants to write a book so that he can be found on the table, which is good. And that's what we want. I mean, the little fun and games that are going on during the Madras week, which is all fine, but we are hoping that lots more people write, more literature comes out of it. A couple of people have just composed some new songs, so some music comes out of it. Documentary films comes out of it. So something more serious comes out of it too, while people have some fun. So games, any discipline, anything that comes out of the celebration is always welcome, because it kind of lives on, has its own life, that it adds up to the literature, the music, and all that, and it's not very temporary. So research, we just came from a talk given by a scholar on the Jesuits in the city and their contribution. There's some serious stuff that goes on too. So yeah, it's good. So the games are going to be launched, is it?
Yeah, launching a game called Memories of Madras.
Memories
it's a card
of
game.
Madras. Okay, it's a card game.
Yeah.
And is it possible to have a contest out of it?
Yeah.
So next year we will
Possibly,
have a contest.
Yep.
That you need to be really intelligent and read Mr. Muthiah's big books before you get into that game. So thank you very much, KREEDA, for adding on to the Madras literature and all that. Thank you.
Speaking of documentaries, on Monday the 29th at 5 p.m. at the Press Institute of India, which is near the Swaminathan Foundation. On the 29th, Monday, at 5 p.m. at the Press Institute of India, which is at the back of the Swaminathan Foundation. Harry McClure and Richard O'Connor, especially for Madras Day, Madras Week, Madras Month, have made a documentary on the Anglo-Indians of Madras. And I've had a look at it, and it's well worth looking at from the point of view of what the community is like in Madras, how they are living, the homes they have, and things like that. It's quite a wide-ranging figure of people. And anybody who would like to come to that, please do come in. It's next Monday at 5 o'clock. I think you'll find it very interesting.
Where exactly is it location?
Taramani.
Taramani, behind the MS Swaminathan Foundation.
Next to VHS?
beyond that.
Beyond that.
It's called some Taramani talkies or something.
It's right opposite, the main entrance road is right opposite the Indianapolis railway station. You go to the end of the road and turn left and Similarly, there are a lot of people who have been doing various things like this, which Vincent has been talking about, which came up quite unexpectedly. And that's a good thing which has been happening for Madras. The whole thing, which are now becoming creative efforts. As that. To me, fortunately, this boy is not here today. There's a boy called Rajat. He has taken 2 walks with differently able people. He's taken them one to the museum and one somewhere else. About 25 people on each walk were differently able. And I think that was a wonderful idea. And similarly, Rajat is trying to resurrect the Madras Literary Society. So they've had a whole week of programs here. So there's a lot of interest cropping up and things like that. Tell yourself, next year I'm going to do something. I think that's what you should be talking about. And my old friend, the teacher there, sitting and smiling away. Time you did something, Sushila.
I'd just like to say a few words to introduce KREEDA to those of you who don't know. We've been working on reviving games, traditional games of India for over 15 years. We're beginning our 15th year right now. This year I chose to look at what we could do for Madras City. While of course we are launching a special game for Madras City called Memories of Madras, it's a card game. When we wanted to launch this game, the difficulty came in picking the places. In fact, I had long distance discussions with Mr. Muthiah on which places to pick. And I'm sure every one of you who picks up the set of cards is going to say, oh, why did she miss this place out? It's impossible to put everything in, though maybe we will have a booster pack added on to this later. It was as much a discovery of my own hometown as it was bringing out a game. I would get up at 5 in the morning and take a drive around because it's virtually impossible to actually see the buildings if you're trying to drive around in the daytime. So I would leave at 5 in the morning, drive around, stop and look at the building and say, oh wow, is this the building? I never even knew it was here because so often you're just speeding past, there's so much of traffic, and now with mobile phones, you're busy talking on the phone, you don't have time to discover it. So I really, really hope that every one of you who picks up this game will rediscover this passion for Madras City. Each card represents a place. It gives a little bit of a story and a little history of facts about the place. I've tried to recapture some of the romance and the fascination, the humor in many places. Much of what I've put in is based on Mr. Muthiah's books, and I couldn't have done it without his research. But just to add on a little more, KREEDA is not just about Memories of Madras. We've been doing, and contrary to what a lot of people think, games are not just frivolous. Going back in time, games were a very serious part of life. They were a way to pass the time long before television, long before computers. They were a way for people to get to interact with each other. Families came together, all ages, not just children. Parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, kids, they all played together, put aside their differences and played together. Today, families break away into their individual rooms, to their individual television sets, their individual iPods, computers, phones, or what have you. But in days past, families came together and played. And play became a very important aspect in building these relationships. An understanding of how important play was is easily found when you visit any temple in and around Chennai or elsewhere. I'm choosing Chennai right now. Take, for example, the Kapaleshwar temple. I'd like to know, is there anyone here who has been to the Kapaleshwar temple who can tell me how many games there are on the temple floor? Any guesses? Mr. Muthiah, you're free to guess too. Mr. Vincent?
He doesn't go to temples.
Anyone who's visited the Kapaleshwar temple, can you tell me how many games there are on the temple floor.
Next time when I go, I'll look for it.
Any guesses now? Yeah. 7 unique boards. 7 unique boards. 7 different games. And one which is completely unique to this part of India. You don't find it here at all. You find it in Karnataka, you find it in the north, but not in the south at all. And this is just one temple. I can go on like this. Every temple in Chennai, we find so many aspects of interest. Marudishwarar Koval. There is a game board there that nobody has ever seen before. It's a very, very unique board, and in fact I'm doing a walk with Pradeep Chakravarti and they're actually going to play the game at Marudishwarar Koval.
When is it?
Following week, Saturday or Sunday? Saturday or Sunday? Which is 27.
Okay, what time?
Morning, early morning. I'll give you the details once we come. So, everything. Last week we had a photo contest asking people to go around photographing games on the floors of temples of Chennai. For me, this is really important because with wear and tear, many of these games are getting rubbed away. I can barely see some of these games when I go. Temples are changing their flooring and we're using a lot of documentation on games. One young girl actually sent her photograph in, and the board she showed me is exceedingly unique. Of course, although it was Madras week, the board she sent it in to me was from the Shore Temple in Mahagripuram. But the game board she showed me was a palanguri, but with 4 rows of pits, not 2 rows. All of you here who are familiar with the palanguri are familiar with 2 rows of 7 pits. This is 4 rows of 7 pits. This is virtually unheard of in this part of the country. You do see traces of it in Assam and the Northeast, but it's far, far more prevalent in Southeast Asia. It's fascinating to me that games could have spread so far and wide. I was very fortunate, thanks to my dad's travels, to travel to Syria and see a palanguri in Palmyra in an old Roman temple there. These games did get exchanged along trade routes. We understand a lot about the social, cultural mores of the time. So while, yes, games can be a lot of fun, once you get into serious documentation, you realize there's so much more to games. And games have influenced our life in so many different ways, and life has influenced our games. We're just going to talk a minute more about one particular game, which you will find in every single temple in Chennai. I defy you to not find the board. The board is called Adupuliyaattam. Have any of you played this game? It's a strategy game with 3 tigers and 15 goats. It's a very, very serious game, much like chess, a serious strategy game. The difference, if you've played chess, you know that you can sacrifice a piece to put yourself in a stronger position, right? Now you find old chess boards in the homes of kings, the royalty and zamindars. You don't find them in peasant homes. But you will find Adupuliyaattam only in peasant homes. Scratched on the floor of temples and common meeting areas, chowdhuries, homes, the thin air of houses, temple floors, monuments. In Adupuliyaattam, the goats, which are 15 in number, contrary to what you think, are actually the stronger, not the tiger. But it's absolutely important that not a single goat can be sacrificed if the goat wants to win the game. They speak of 2 completely opposing sociological models. One, chess, which talks about the importance of all being greater than the importance of the individual. Whereas Adupuliyaattam is a community-led model, where the importance of every person in the community matters for you to be able to win the game. And this is what we learn from our games. And this is just a smattering of what I've learned in the last 15 years. Frankly, when I started, all I was looking at is bringing out games so kids could play. In the last 15 years, I've learned a lot. And I urge you all to join me on this journey to discover games and the impact these games have had on this wonderful city of ours. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand over the first copy of Memories of Madras to Mr. Muthiah. I know you don't play games, sir, but maybe you'll make an exception with this one.
I won't give it to my grandchildren.
You play it with your grandchildren.
I used to play bridge and rummy and things like that.
It's just a lesson.
Unfortunately, I don't know whether this can be used for bridge.
You can't use it for bridge, but you can play a few other games with it.
But more important to this side.
Yes. We have a few sample cards up here hanging, so you'll get a sense of what the game is like. And we've tried to make it as comprehensive as possible.
We want those of you that did there up there.
Mr. Vincent.
Perfect. Thank you.
What the price is again? What the price?
400 rupees.
Available here now?
Available with Mr. Ashwin and Sudhir. And soon will be available elsewhere. But Ashwin, you're the only one who hasn't spoken.
Yeah, good evening. It's good to see so many people coming here for Madras week, month, Madras day, or generally celebrating Madras. In fact, I'll definitely make a note of what Mr. Muthiah said. We'll now onwards start celebrating Madras and not Madras day or Madras week. And in a way, we are already doing that at Odyssey. Not now, about a couple of years back, we had started a very, very small display section of authors from Chennai. So that's been always happening. It is just that we took it upon ourselves to kind of celebrate Madras in a way which connected with our business and the store, which is basically books. So we started compiling a list of all authors from Chennai who are born in Chennai, who are living in Chennai, and who have written books. So the list grew to almost 120 authors, and it's growing every day now. And there are more people coming in and telling us they've written books and they want their books up here. Or friends of the authors are coming and kind of giving their names and numbers and asking us to contact and put up their books. So in a way, like Vincent said, it's been really, really encouraging for us and very, very supporting in terms of authors coming in, acknowledging and appreciating our effort, and they are in turn now buying books of other authors. So they are taking it upon themselves to support other colleagues of theirs in Chennai. And this whole thing seems very nice to me because we have always felt that authors from Chennai and South especially are not at all aggressive. I mean, they write fantastic books. The content is very good, but they just don't promote it, you know. And so we were always thinking, why are these guys just not looking at what people in the north or west do, where they promote it much more than an FMCG product. Yeah, so I think this would be a very, very small start from our side in promoting books and writing and authors from Chennai. We just hope to make it bigger next year. We are looking at adding Tamil books, also Tamil authors. And we are working on a few more areas where we want to create a good range of merchandise based on Madras. In fact, I was just telling KREEDA that we should look at launching a game on Madras every year, because there is so much about the city that we can come up with a whole series of Chennai-based games itself.
Sure,
So that's what we at Odyssey have been doing, and there are many more events we are promoting. Basically, we are looking at this entire time to celebrate Chennai, and with specifically a focus on Chennai books and Chennai authors. So hope you all also support us in this initiative. Just spread the word around. There are so many very, very nice authors in this wonderful city, and we are doing our small bit to promote them, to publicize them, to give them visibility. The best you can do is help promote them also. So, thanking all of you for having come, and Mr. Muthiah and Mr. Vincent, it's wonderful to have you here. Okay, so that's it from us, and back to KREEDA.
I'd just like to add to something Ashwin has been talking about. You go to any bookshop in Madras, and you're not going to find what you find at Odyssey. And you don't know what that is? A display of Madras books. You go to any bookshop in Madras, and your books are lost amongst other books as such. This is the one shop, at least today they make special efforts, but normally at any given time, you can find your Madras books here. And I think that is, a very significant thing. The way Odyssey has been promoting Madras authors and Madras books. And I hope they keep on doing it in a much bigger way from now on. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all for coming. There is a contest going on. For those of you with the contest, I will announce the answers in a few minutes, and you can take it off and come up and claim your prizes.